Hello guys and welcome to this video on the usage of colons, semicolons, dashes, commas, and common writing mistakes to avoid for the Cambridge Checkpoint English exam. So our video will be divided into two parts. The first part will be talking about the usage of punctuation marks, and the second part will be talking about the common writing mistakes that you need to avoid in your Cambridge Checkpoint English exam. So if you're a student, go grab your pen and paper and get ready for today's session. If you're a teacher, go grab your pen and paper and get ready for today's session. Let's start with part number one, which is the usage of the punctuation mark. The first punctuation mark that we have is the comma. Commas are often used to separate items in a list, to separate clauses in a sentence, and to set off any non-essential information. There are a hell of other uses for the commas, but today we'll talk about the most common ones. Let's have an example for each use. We said the first one was to separate items in a list. For example, I bought apples, oranges, and bananas. So here the comma was used to separate items in a list. Another example, I went to the store, comma, but I forgot my wallet. So here I used a comma and a fanboy to separate two independent clauses. The last example, Mr.Mohamed, the best teacher on the planet ever, helped me a lot. So where's the extra information here, or where is the non-essential information here? The best teacher on the planet ever. I can say Mr. Mohamed helped me a lot, right? So the information in the middle, it's extra information. So in this case, I'm going to use a comma to set it off from the rest of the sentence. I don't like to talk about myself, but it's true. I'm the best teacher on the planet ever. The second punctuation mark that we have is the semicolon. And the semicolon, guys, has two uses only. The first one is joining two independent clauses together, and the second one, it is used in a complex list. Let's have an example for each one. I studied hard for the exam, semicolon, however, I still didn't do well. Of course, this won't happen because you watched my video. Anyway, so here the semicolon is used to join two independent clauses. The first clause is an independent clause and the second clause is an independent clause. Another example, I went to the cinema. I did not enjoy the movie. So here, two independent clauses and they are both related to each other. The last example is the complex list. I have visited so many cities before. Cairo, Egypt, Paris, France, and Rome, Italy. So this is a complex list. So in this case, I'll use a semicolon to separate the items in the monster or in the complex list. The third punctuation mark that we have is the colon. Colons are often used to introduce a list, explanation, or to introduce a quote. Let's have a look on the following examples. I went to the supermarket and bought a lot of things. And then the list of the things I bought. So I used a colon here to introduce this list. So this one was introducing a list. Another example for introducing a quote. She said something very interesting. Colon, and then I will introduce the quote she said. Life is a journey, not a destination. So here I introduced her quote. And I used a colon to introduce her quote. The last example. Cambridge is home to two of the best universities in the world. Colon, MIT and Harvard. The fourth punctuation mark that we have is the dash. Dashes are used to set off parenthetical element in a sentence or to emphasize a point. Let's have a look at the examples. I want to go on a vacation. Dash, somewhere warm and tropical. Another example, the final exam, which I had been dreading, turned out to be easier than expected. This is a parenthetical element. It's the same as the non-essential information. Whenever the information in the middle is non-essential, you can use pair dashing. The last example, she was determined to finish the race. Dash, no matter how difficult it became. So here it's emphasizing a point. It's emphasizing that she will finish the race no matter how difficult it became. Now we're done with the punctuation mark. Now let's move to part two, guys, which is the common mistakes that you guys are doing while structuring your writing. The first common mistake is the run-on sentences. Run-on sentences, guys, means joining two independent clauses right after each other without any punctuation mark in the middle. And this is grammatically incorrect. You have to break them up into smaller sentences or use punctuation marks to separate your ideas. Let's have a look at this example and you'll understand what I'm talking about. I woke up early in the morning. I went for a jog. So here I have two independent clauses. The first independent clause is I woke up early in the morning. I have a subject and a verb, and then I have another subject and a verb. So here I have two independent clauses, and they are joined together without any punctuation mark in the middle. And this is wrong. In this case, guys, you can use a colon. If the two independent clauses are related, you can use a colon to separate them, or you can use a comma and a fanboy. I woke up early this morning, and I went for a jog. The second common mistake, guys, is the sentence fragment. Fragment means an incomplete sentence. The phrases are considered a fragment. The dependent clauses are considered a fragment. The relative clauses, if it's not a part of the sentence, it's considered a fragment. Have a look at this example. When I say floating on the river, do I know what floating on the river? No. This is a phrase, and I cannot end the phrase using a full stop. This is wrong. Grammatically, this is incorrect. So, grammatically, fragments are incorrect, and you're not allowed to use them in paper 1. Sometimes you can use the fragments in paper 2 for description, but do not use them if you don't know how to use them. But in paper 1, fragments are incorrect. The third common mistake, guys, is misuse of apostrophe. Apostrophes are used to indicate possession or contractions, not to indicate plural. Have a look at the following example. I went to the store to buy apples. Here, no need to use an apostrophe. So another example. The student and book. And I want to say that this book belongs to the student. How can I do this? You can add apostrophe yes. The student's book. It means that this book belongs to the student. What if the word student is plural? If it was students, how can I show the possession? Like I want to say that these books belong to the students. So I'm going to add the apostrophe after the S. So it's going to be the students' books. If the word is plural and it ends with an S, you're going to use an apostrophe after the S. If the word is plural and it does not end with an S like the word people, then I'm going to add an apostrophe and then the S, like this example. Another example, the cat bite its tail. So the word its here is written like this. This its shows the possession of something. This one is it is. So there's a difference between its and it is. Its, which is this one, is for possession. And this one is it is, subject and a verb. Common mistake number 4, guys, is the overuse of exclamation marks. Using too many exclamation points can make your writing appear unprofessional. So make sure not to overuse the exclamation points. Common mistake number 5 is inconsistent capitalization. Make sure that you capitalize consistently throughout your writing, especially for proper nouns, titles, and heading. Last common mistake, guys, that most of you are doing is understanding the prompt. Read the prompt meticulously. Understand what exactly the examiner is asking you to do. Make sure that you fully understood the genre of the writing, what you will introduce in your writing. Common mistake number 6 is subject-verb agreement. What does subject-verb agreement means? Subject-verb agreement means that there should be an agreement between your subject and your verb. Like, for example, when I say, the candidate wants to join us. So, is there an agreement here between my subject and my verb or not? The candidate wants to join us. So here, there is an agreement. What about this example? Have a look at the following example and drop me a comment telling me whether you answered this question correctly or not. So here, neither of the candidates want to join us. Here, it's also neither of the candidates wants to join us. Because my subject here, guys, is not the candidates. My subject is neither, and neither is a singular subject. So neither of the candidates wants to join us. So whenever you're done with your writing, you need to proofread yourself for subject-verb agreements, unnecessary capitalization, inconsistent capitalization. Make sure that you use the commas, the dashes, the semicolons, the colons in a proper way. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Assalamu alaikum.